Mitsubishi Electric is helping to change the environment for the better around the world.
Green subway systems in India.
Green solar power systems in Singapore.
Sistem AC ramah lingkungan di Indonesia.
Eco changes for a greener tomorrow. Mitsubishi Electric.
Let's enjoy Japan.
Wonderful.
I knew you'd like this.
You know me so well. Where to next?
Golf,
Wonderful.
Japanese garden,
That's wonderful too.
onsen with a Fujisan view.
Wonderful.
Let's go then.
いらっしゃいませ. Wonderful.
Incredible.
Smiles ahead. Seibu Group.
Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Maki Arai.
And I'm Makiko Tsuda.
Every week we bring you the freshest information out of Japan from our studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even foods, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
These are our topics for today.
In Project Japan, a look inside one of the world's biggest computer entertainment exhibitions.
From World Business Satellite, the latest in aerial photography systems.
And also from World Business Satellite, earthquake-resistant home-building technologies in earthquake-prone Japan.
And finally from Takumi, production line carriers that can move without the need for motors. So let's get started. First up is the Project Japan.
Yes, and this time we have a report from the Tokyo Game Show, and it's considered one of the world's biggest computer entertainment exhibitions, which attracts about 250,000 people over 4 days. And do you play games?
I used to when I was a child, but not that often.
Not that often, me neither. But I have a graph over here, and it shows the market size of household gaming, which includes packaged games played on the computer and consoles. And it was about $4.5 billion in 2013. And as you can see, the market has been shrinking over the years.
Nice.
But if you add online games played on smartphones, computers and other devices, the market reached a record high of $11.5 billion in 2013.
So the growth of online gaming is quite impressive. And this means that 2/3 of the market was online gaming.
Exactly. And at the exhibition this year, it was the popularity of this form of gaming was clearly evident. And about 1,400 game titles were being promoted, and of those, about 500 were games for iOS or Android devices.
Well, it's actually not that surprising considering that more people nowadays have smartphones and tablet devices at home rather than dedicated game consoles. So it makes sense that the gaming market is growing as a result.
Yes, you're right. And in fact, it's said that a lot of people who didn't play games on consoles before are starting to on their smartphones and other mobile devices, and that's pushing up the total population of gamers.
Yes, you see people playing games everywhere now, especially on the train.
You do, don't you? And another trend was seen at the exhibition, and the big number of participating companies and organizations from outside of Japan.
Well, I know it's a mainly Japan-focused event, so why?
Well, the thing is that the gaming industry is no longer as country-specific as it used to be, and I had a chance to talk with several companies at the venue, so take a look.
The Project Japan. One of Asia's biggest computer entertainment exhibitions. Tokyo Game Show 2014 was held in September.
I'm at the Tokyo Game Show now. This year, more than 400 creators and companies have set up booths to show off their latest products.
The theme of this year's event was Changing Games, the Transformation of Fun. The global electronic gaming market is continuing to grow and is forecast to surpass $100 billion in 2015. The biggest driver has been the spread of networked games played on smartphones and computers. This trend is also evident in Japan. As smartphones become more widespread, a growing number of people who previously didn't play games are doing so briefly during the day, such as in between appointments or on the train. With smartphones and computers, there's no need to buy dedicated consoles. What's more, in many cases, users don't have to pay an initial fee. In contrast, the gaming console market has been shrinking. Manufacturers are attempting to differentiate their products by touting higher quality graphics, but smartphone and computer gaming is continuing to widen its lead in the market. To counter this trend, the top two console makers are strengthening marketing aimed at smartphone gamers and people who haven't traditionally played games. This is the booth of Microsoft. Their latest console, Xbox One, just went on sale in Japan this September. The main feature is being able to play without a controller by using just hand and body movements. This is a tennis game. Movements made by the players are replicated by the character on screen. The key is this. It's equipped with a regular camera as well as an infrared camera, allowing the device to recognize a player's physical features and position, as well as the center of gravity. It can also gauge a person's heart rate. These metrics make it possible to track not just external movements, but what's happening inside the body.
We want to deliver the best environment for playing games. At the same time, we want people to use it for purposes other than gaming. This is a device that's entertaining for non-gamers as well.
This is the booth of Sony Computer Entertainment. Replacing a previous model that saw lackluster sales, they launched the PlayStation 4 earlier this year. Numerous games for the new console were being promoted. Generating considerable interest was this head-mount display. Wearing it, a user can see a three-dimensional space, which they say allows a more immersive gaming experience. Being played is a deep-sea exploration game.
I'm deep under sea and being attacked by sharks. It's very real and scary.
A 360-degree view that changes as the player turns.
It's amazing. It's a device that makes you feel like you're in the game itself. You don't feel like you're simply playing a game, it's more like you're part of it.
While manufacturers pursue even more advanced technology to offer immersive gaming, there are other moves in the industry. Games that hook players not with technology, but with fresh ideas. Being controlled here is a human-like octopus, Octodad. Making the soft-bodied octopus even walk properly is a challenge. The mission is for the octopus to live as a human without other characters, finding out its true identity.
You reached the goal safely. It's surprising that an octopus is the main character. The concept is really interesting, but the story is strange.
This game was actually developed by a university student in the United States. Games made at low cost by individuals or small groups of people referred to as indies are attracting strong interest in the industry now. They are said to offer an entertainment value different from that of products made by big-budget developers.
Games are entertainment, so we believe diversity is important. Many of the indie games are extremely rich in content because they reflect the creative soul of developers who have a clear vision of what they want to make. So we've set up a system through which we can reach out to independent developers and provide support to make game creation easier.
Noticeable at this year's event was the makeup of exhibitors. About half were from outside Japan. This is a section comprised of companies from Southeast Asian countries. Participating this year were 54 firms, 1.5 times more than the previous event. The gaming market in Southeast Asia is rapidly expanding. Many game makers from the Asian region come here seeking Japanese partners, as well as to negotiate deals with other Asian companies. This is the booth of an organization that invited businesses from Asia to the event.
My impression is that the gaming industry is borderless. It's not about one country partnering with another. Content is what matters, and so it's borderless. No one really cares about nationality. This is a place where people who really love games gather and work together.
Among the crowd was one person from Japan who was proactively reaching out to makers from Asia.
I live in Vietnam, so rather than talking with the big companies, I want to meet with people from the ASEAN region. There are 6 or 7 firms from Vietnam here. I'm looking for partners and will be going to their offices next week.
Shibuya, Tokyo. Donuts is a mobile game developer and was founded by Koji Nozu. The company has a branch in Vietnam where local developers work on new products. One of their games is this: rebellious teenagers battle over territory. The aim is to clear stages in each region to dominate the entire country. We were allowed to sit in on one of their regular meetings.
Let's start. We're going to change the background of the in-game event. We'd like you to develop a Halloween theme.
Can you give me the data without the right side?
Okay.
Designers in Japan asked the developers in Vietnam to create a new theme for an in-game event. We asked Nguyen Tien Tine, who is now based in Bangkok, why he chose to work at a Japanese game company.
I studied at a university in Japan and interned at this company. Later, they told me that they were going to set up a branch in Vietnam. So I decided to go back to my country and more or less help launch the business there.
In Vietnam, people from top universities are coming into the gaming industry. They're really ambitious and hardworking. They're driven to succeed, to become independent by dedicating themselves to the work at hand.
The company's objective for expanding into Asia is not simply to tap into the wealth of talent. They say the market potential is a huge attraction.
The attraction of Asia is its potential as a market. The other key point is that companies from the US and Europe are still not fully focused on Asia because it's still not a big market. In that sense, it's important for Japan, which is in the region, to start building into these countries now.
Countries across Asia joining hands to take on the global gaming market. The battle has just begun.
Tomorrow never ends with you. With you. When the morning falls, we there so long. Well, I know we'll never.
For life's greatest moments. Bridgestone.
Az én álmaim autója, amit lerajzoltam, egy nagyon környezetvédő autó. Milyen jó lenne, ha sikerülne a megálmodott házamba költöznöm, ahol tudok kísérletezni és állatokat megfigyelni.
Yanmar, Red, United, 世界への挑戦 Passion, Spirit. 次のプレミアムフィールドへ。
You're watching Channel Japan. Next, we have a report from TV Tokyo's World Business Satellite. So, Uta-san, what's the topic this time?
Yes, this time we'll be looking at something called a multicopter.
Multicopter? I don't think I've heard of that term before.
Well, actually, it's a type of helicopter that uses several motors or propellers to fly.
So what is it used for?
Well, we have a picture over here, and this particular multicopter is equipped with a video camera, and it allows it to film or carry out surveys from the air, and can be used in areas difficult to reach by ground or with a conventional aircraft. And one of the advantages is being able to use a handheld remote to take pictures and monitor an area in real time.
Well, aerial photography using radio-controlled aircraft is something that's been done in the past, I guess. So what's special about this?
Well, The thing is, with conventional radio-controlled aircraft, there's a lot of vibration, making it difficult to take clear images, whereas the multicopter we'll be introducing this time generates very little vibration, and there are now moves to adopt such multicopters in a range of businesses, so take a look.
Lift off! Look! You're all on camera! Right there!
Floating in the air is a multicopter underneath a camera. This is the view from above. The multicopter captivates the children who've never seen anything like it. Hirokazu Somemiya is a professional cameraman living in Tatebayashi, Gunma Prefecture. He's gathered local children to show them the fun of aerial photography.
Slowly. Move it slowly.
First grader Yuga Ishigaki. It's his first time flying a multicopter. But he quickly learns how to control it by himself. The steady camera work is surprising for a child who's doing this for the first time. The camera can be adjusted while looking at the view using the touch panel display. GPS helps track its location to within 2.5 meters, with signals captured from more than 10 satellites. What's more, sensors collect data such as air pressure, tilt and direction to automatically adjust its position.
It's going to go straight up.
In an instant, it's high in the sky. It can ascend at a speed of 6 meters a second. As with a radio-controlled helicopter, no license is needed to fly it. Easy to operate. Multicopters are putting aerial photography within reach of amateurs as well. Koto War Tokyo. This is a company that manufactures and sells multicopters. Called DJI Japan. It's headquartered in Shenzhen, China. This large-sized multicopter.
It's been used recently at the World Cup and also at a number of concerts in Japan.
An entrepreneurial venture launched in 2006, it is considered one of the top makers of multicopters for aerial photography. In Japan, they put a new camera-equipped model on the market this year of less than $1,500 and have been growing market share.
We ship around 30,000 units a month around the world, and about 1,500 in Japan. That's about 5 times more than a year ago.
Multicopters have other uses.
We're actually transporting cakes on a trial basis in Shanghai.
Companies around the world are starting to use such multicopters. In the United States, online retailer Amazon has been researching deliveries by drones. And in September, Germany-based DHL began trialing deliveries to island communities. In Japan, commercial applications are already underway. Readying a multicopter is an employee of security services provider Alsak. It lifts off. The multicopter flies over a solar power facility. What are they doing?
I'm checking the images from the aerial robot. I want to make sure that there aren't any problems with the panels.
There are 2 monitors. One shows the flight route. The multicopter automatically flies along the yellow line. The other is footage from an infrared camera. A white dot. A problem has been found. He goes on site to check.
This is probably a bird dropping. It's stuck here and obstructing the solar panel.
An inspection of the 1.2 hectare solar power facility is completed in about 7 minutes. The time has been reduced to less than a tenth of that needed for an inspection on foot. From October, Alsac began testing multicopters to carry out such checks. They plan to expand their use starting next April. Chiba University. Researchers here are eyeing the global multicopter market. Appearing from a hangar is the latest multicopter. They are developing aircraft to survey the reactor buildings of the damaged Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The project is headed by a leading researcher in the field of multicopters, Professor Kenzo Nonami.
Places where GPS doesn't work, such as inside buildings and tunnels.
The key is the 2 components attached to the body. They emit lasers, allowing the multicopter to create a 3-dimensional map while flying. As a result, it can operate stably in places blocked from GPS signals without colliding into walls and other obstacles. This is the controller.
It's like sitting in a cockpit. You operate this like you're flying a helicopter.
The multicopter is equipped with 3 cameras. The view from front, above, and below. It's all in real time.
Touchdown!
Takeoff and landing are automatic. It's a system that's easy to use. In the mass production of multicopters, Japanese firms lag behind Chinese rivals. The aim is to turn the tables through technological innovation. Professor Nonami set up a university-affiliated entrepreneurial venture to commercialize this product.
We're making preparations with the aim of producing 500 to 1,000 units next fiscal year. We want to prove that we're a world-class manufacturer as quickly as possible. Our hope is that our products will be put to practical use in the most advanced markets.
The evolution of multicopters continues. They are about to take off in a big way in the world of business.
Welcome to Tokyo Skytree. This is the grand panoramic view from 450 meters. Here you'll experience the unforgettable. Look, enjoy, be amazed, and be awestruck. That's what Tokyo Skytree is all about. Japan's latest landmark, Tokyo Skytree.
Man, look at all these cars.
Hey, have you heard, by the way? The Japanese company Kobelco is working to make the world's cars lighter.
So what does that mean?
Kobelco is using aluminum and steel technologies to make car parts and bodies lighter around the world.
Ah, Japanese technology. The country of karate. Ha!
Ha! Ha! Why do we always do that? I don't know.
The talk of the world. Kobelco.
We do our jobs with sincerity and integrity to make a better living environment for the people and our society. Today's work, tomorrow's heritage. Shimizu Corporation.
Sasuke, a new type of sports entertainment program conquering the world.
It's about human achievement and people's passions, and I think that relates to almost everybody.
From Japan to the world, Ninja Warrior, Tokyo Broadcasting System.
Next is about renovations to strengthen the earthquake resistance of homes.
Well, we certainly have a lot of earthquakes in Japan, and we're still recovering from the massive earthquake in northeastern Japan 3 years ago. Yes. And there was the great Hanshin Awaji earthquake in 1985.
Yes, and data on the great Hanshin Awaji earthquake shows that 80% of the victims died when the house or building they were in collapsed. And in particular, it was determined that the damage was greatest with homes that were built before 1981, when the earthquake resistance standards were revised.
So how did the homes built after 1981 fare in that earthquake?
Well, actually, more than 90% of homes that did meet those standards, the revised standards, were left relatively undamaged, whereas about half of the homes that didn't meet the standards were destroyed.
Well, when you think that lives could have been saved had those houses not collapsed, it's clear that renovating homes to make them more earthquake resistant is critical.
It definitely is. And in year 2000, the earthquake resistant requirements in the Buildings Standards Act were made more stringent, so that many wooden houses that were considered safe before that have been determined to be at high risk of collapsing.
Well, that's a scary thought, especially when there are predictions of another large-scale earthquake in the next 30 years.
True, yes. And together with growing moves to preserve and reuse older buildings and structures, new technologies are being developed to strengthen their earthquake resistance from the outside so that people don't have to move out while the construction is going on. And we have a report on the latest trends in the industry, so take a look.
A home in Yokohama.
We'll reinforce that wall. What about there?
This home was built prior to the introduction of revised earthquake resistance standards in 1981. Considered to be structurally weak and likely to collapse in a major tremor, it is being renovated to strengthen its earthquake resistance.
These walls have been stripped, so you can see that places like this are new. It's called a brace and is a type of diagonal tension bar.
By putting in braces and specialized brackets to secure the columns, the earthquake resistance of the home is strengthened to meet current standards, which are designed to prevent a collapse in an intensity 6 to 7 trembler. The national government is aiming to raise the number of homes compliant with the standards from 80% now to 95% by 2020. Local governments are also providing subsidies for the renovations of homes built before 1981. This home was renovated 4 years ago to strengthen its earthquake resistance at a cost of about $4,000.
This wall and also that wall. The window space was big, so I was told that this area was naturally weak in terms of earthquake resistance. So they reinforced both sides.
The Mikami family's home was built in 1985 and meets the revised standards introduced in 1981. Still, an inspection revealed the earthquake resistance ratio was 0.49. meaning it had a high probability of collapsing in an earthquake.
That was a bit shocking for me.
Why was the earthquake resistance level so low? A group that carries out such inspections explains.
After 1981, the government issued a new Building Standards Act in 2000. Many homes were constructed based on the older requirements. While not all, many of them fall short of the earthquake resistance level that's considered safe now.
Some studies show that even the 85% of homes built since 1981 are at risk of collapsing when measured against current standards. In 2000, the government revised the building code in response to the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake. Construction companies were required to use fixtures for home foundations and columns designated by the Land Ministry to strengthen earthquake resistance.
It's a previous requirement, so it's not a question of good or bad. It was the standard of that time, and we need to look at what the situation is now.
In September, a company called Pita Column that specializes in earthquake resistance organized a tour. On the outer wall of a home, metal braces were attached.
It looks like a simple setup, but the resistance is quite strong.
These braces play a vital role in strengthening earthquake resistance.
The steel braces protect the structure from strong tremors. By ensuring that this section doesn't come off even when subjected to strong pressure, the reinforcement effect is maximized. That's the main point.
The braces are firmly fixed to the foundation and columns using specialized metal parts. They are designed to stay in place even during a violent earthquake. In an experiment using a full-scale model of a house, they prevented structural deformation and collapse due to shaking. Able to withstand an intensity 6 earthquake, the system costs about $25,000 on average. And as it is set up on the outer wall, construction takes around a week. What's more,
we don't do any work on the inside of the house, so people can continue living there while it's being reinforced.
the market for renovations has been steadily growing and is forecast to reach $80 billion by 2020. The demand for earthquake resistance work is also expected to increase in tandem.
We hear from many customers that they want to continue using their homes by carrying out renovations, so we believe there will be more demand to strengthen earthquake resistance.
Sumida Ward, Tokyo, an area with many old neighborhoods and homes.
This area has a heavy concentration of old wooden houses, and they're built very close to each other. The roads are narrow, and the space between properties is also narrow, so fires are prone to spread easily.
Fears that fires following an earthquake could lead to bigger casualties. The focus is not only on earthquake resistance, but fire resistance as well. To encourage residents to renovate their homes to make them more fire resistant, Sumida Ward is offering subsidies of up to $10,000.
If a massive fire breaks out in an urban area, it would help limit the spread. The purpose of carrying out renovations is not only to strengthen earthquake resistance, but fire resistance as well, thereby building a strong community.
One company hoping to tap into the growing demand for both earthquake resistance and fire resistance is major construction material maker Nichiha. One of their core products is a material called siding that has strong fire resistance qualities. They have been promoting it as an exterior wall for use in earthquake resistance renovations.
It's used in earthquake resistance renovations in which the outer wall is stripped off, so customers have a new wall and a more fire-resistant home.
The renovation requires the outer wall to be removed and fire-resistant boards to be installed underneath. Siding is attached over them, strengthening both earthquake and fire resistance. Siding is made of cement and wood. Fire-resistant cement and flexible wood are mixed together and molded.
We've been getting steady orders and have been running 24 hours a day at full capacity for quite a while now.
Siding is the most widespread outer wall material used for new homes. Orders have been growing, but the company is looking to develop a new market in line with future trends in the home building industry.
The number of housing starts is declining, and as a manufacturer, we need to sell our products into the new market, the renovation market.
A major earthquake that could happen at any time. Re-examining the earthquake and fire resistance of homes is a crucial task for the country.
Well, it's comforting to know that even a wooden house can withstand an intensity 6 earthquake if properly reinforced.
That's true, I agree. And it is important to remember that the house itself can become the cause of death or injury in the event of a big earthquake. And I think that's why interest is growing in these types of renovations.
And if you take advantage of the various subsidies and programs offered by national and local governments, the cost isn't too prohibitive.
You're right, yes. And with the growing number of people opting to renovate their homes anyway, the home building industry is starting to put a lot of emphasis on these earthquake-resistant technologies.
Omron is a company like no other. It defines expectations because engineers are constantly working on something new. Machines that are attuned to the way people think and move. Therein lies technology that will one day help the future. We automate. Omron.
Mitsui and Company. For the glorious future, leading the world in service and technology, from Japan to the world. East Japan Railway Company. Channel Japan. Your source for the voices and views of people and businesses across Japan. The latest reports on Japanese companies, culture, and technology. Find out what's happening on the ground. Every week, direct from Tokyo, Channel Japan.
Next, we bring you a segment called Takumi from Science View, a program produced by NHK that introduces the latest developments in science and technology in Japan.
Yes, now takumi literally means artisan in Japanese, and it's a word often used to describe a person with exceptional skill in a certain craft, a master technician.
So what kind of artisan are we meeting today?
Well, today we'll be meeting a craftsman that uses technology behind traditional mechanical dolls called karakuri ningyo in Japanese.
Karakuri dolls?
Yes, that's right. And we have a picture over here. It's called a tea-serving doll, and it's representative of the karakuri, or the mechanical technology that we'll be hearing about today. And this kind of doll was a popular toy among the nobility and merchants 200 years ago, and it uses gears and mechanical principles to move. And our takumi this time developed carriers used to transport products on a car parts production line based on this doll.
Well, it's surprising that this type of technology existed 200 years ago, but equally surprising that it's being applied to a modern production line.
That's true, and but how do they actually work? We find out how one takumi came up with the idea, so take a look.
Isn't this cute? This is a tea-carrying doll. It was built using 200-year-old diagrams. It's kind of like a wooden robot. And in fact, the innovative technology found in this doll was used to completely change automobile assembly lines. This is the company that uses the technology in that tea-serving doll. It leads the world in automatic transmission market share. Today's takumi, Shigeharu Ikeda, is the chief advisor here. But how is a mechanism from the tea-serving doll used in this factory full of cutting-edge machines?
It's this one here.
So this uses tea-serving doll technology?
No, actually, it's underneath. Here.
You mean this?
That's right.
But how?
Well, this is a non-powered automatic carrier system. It doesn't use a motor or hydraulics.
Not at all? This carrier moves automatically when a product is placed on it. It carries the product to the next assembly line 2 meters away, then returns to its original position. This non-powered automatic carrier system uses the weight of its load. Put an 80-kilogram item on it, and springs attached to a bar are compressed. This turns a cogwheel, and the carrier rolls away. When the item is removed, the bar goes back up, and the carrier moves in the opposite direction. In a tea-serving doll, something like a watch spring does this work. Put a teacup on the saucer once, and the doll moves forward. Put the teacup on a second time, and the doll goes back. This was the inspiration for Ikeda's carrier system. Ikeda started work on the carrier system in 2000. The company president at that time had entrusted him with creating a production line that would halve both production costs and space requirements.
To compete in the global market, cost is crucial. One way to cut costs is to reduce the cost of labor, but that's difficult. So you have to cut the cost of the products. I thought these simple old-fashioned mechanical dolls don't use any electricity or oil. I could use their mechanism to reduce costs and save space. The dolls became my inspiration.
Ikeda remembered that as a boy he had seen a mechanical doll at a festival. It moved without using any electricity or fuel. He was stunned.
I was deeply affected by it. I will never forget that feeling.
In 2000, Ikeda created a production line innovation team. Their first task was to recreate and study the tea-serving doll. But there were voices of concern on the factory floor.
It had no track record as a reliable industrial carrier. We didn't know what kind of problems or malfunctions we might have to deal with. So yes, we were worried.
Those concerns were justified. During tests, the carrier would start moving before an item was placed on it. The item would just fall to the floor. How could they fix that problem? Ikeda felt sure the tea-serving doll held the solution. When a cup is placed on the doll's tray, a stopper that blocks movement is released. Ikeda's team decided to incorporate that kind of stopper. Now, when an item was placed on the carrier, the lever was pushed down, releasing a hook that stopped the carrier from moving. The process from initial concept to realization took 2 years. Finally, the non-powered automatic carrier system was complete. The device cost just 1/3 as much as a motorized carrier.
If a leader gets complacent, then it's all over. We were driven by the idea that we could transform the manufacturing system, turn it around 180 degrees. That was our dream. And that's what craftsmanship is all about.
Transporting products that weigh 80 kilograms without electricity is quite a feat.
Isn't it? And right now these non-powered carriers are being put to work across the factory and is said to have helped to reduce significantly reduce capex and electricity costs.
Yes, it's a true example of learning from the past, and since they're eco-friendly as well, I'm sure we'll be seeing them put to work in more places. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so join us again next week.
Mitsubishi Electric is helping to change the environment for the better around the world.
Green subway systems in India.
Green solar power systems in Singapore.
Sistem AC ramah lingkungan di Indonesia.
Eco changes for a greener tomorrow. Mitsubishi Electric.